Melissa, roll call please.
Ms. Reeves? Here. Mr. Sprague?
Here.
Mr. Iannazi?
Here.
Mr. Stewart?
Here.
Mr. Wilson?
Here.
Ms. Gross? Here. Mr. Sika?
Here.
Thank you.
Mayor Reeves?
I'm here.
Thank you. Council did meet in executive session this evening. A few things that we spoke about in executive session was the staffing needs on a part-time basis of our police department. We briefed council on a status update of where we're at on the police contract. Also spoke about the litigation with the EMTs and had a strategy discussion in regards to some grant submittals. The upcoming meetings, next Monday at 6 o'clock will be an executive session of council prior to our regular meeting, which is at 7 o'clock. The amended budget for 2020 will be voted upon on the 12th, which is Wednesday. That's at 7 o'clock too, right?
I think we said.
Did we say 6?
Yeah.
So that's gonna be 6 p.m.
On the 12th. On the 12th, 6 p.m., right?
Yes.
It's at 7 minutes.
And then once we get into March, we start our regular council meetings on the first and second Monday of each month.
Yeah.
Some things that we're implementing here with the new board. We want to make sure that we're being held accountable on answering to the residents. So therefore, beginning next month, I'm going to ask Ms. Jones to bring forward to council any right to know submittals that we've received and making sure that we're answering those right to know submittals on a timely basis. And if for some reason we're unable to answer the right to know submittal, at least we're reporting back to the residents the reason why we are not able to fulfill their request. Also, a resolution of any citizen's concerns. So if a citizen was to appear in front of council and wants to come and provide a complaint or an issue, I'll use just for random examples, a mattress that has been sitting outside an alleyway for an extended period of time, you know, a resident that has an issue with trash accumulating around a certain property, you know, certainly wanting to respect everybody's rights of privacy, but also want to make sure that we are answering back to the citizens and resolving those issues. So for instance, you know, if a mattress was left in an alleyway, you know, what we can do hopefully within the first month is have our code enforcement officer go out as a courtesy to let the resident know that the mattress needs to be wrapped in plastic, and then the Public Works Department picks it up once it gets wrapped for their protection, and basically report back saying, in March we received, you know, this information, and in April this is the, you know, resolution of the issue. The workshop meetings. I'd like to use the workshop meetings as an opportunity of members of council to issue any of your report updates. For instance, Mr. Wilson, you are in charge of administration, policy, and communication, so the first Monday of every month certainly would be your opportunity to share with council and those that are attending in the public, you know, any updates that we've made on the website. You know, certainly with Donna Stillwell coming in as she starts to look at our controls and procedures, you know, certainly give those updates. I'll also use the facilities management when we took action last month to approve the proposal from Coolit for the HVAC system for Lighthouse Hall. This way here, we're giving an update to everybody of where we stand with those issues. So at this time, if there's any member of council that has any updates that they would like to give, I don't mean to put anybody on the spot, but just wanted to let everybody know that you'd have an opportunity at the first Monday of every month to bring forward any committee reports.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Mr. Wilson has communication, correct?
Correct.
And I know you're high on the level of transparency, correct? Why do you send all your emails out then to undisclosed recipients?
Because on our email thing, it will not let you, it says too many, recipients for open, you have to set a BCC.
I don't agree with that.
Well, that's what comes up on my software.
Maybe I ought to talk to Steve again, cause I think that could be repaired.
Okay,
I'm not answering emails, but I don't know who they're on.
yeah, well, you can go up and click on details and it'll show you where the emails have gone.
No, it comes up on this undisclosed, there's nobody there.
Did you create a group? Cause a lot of times if you create a group, you know, if you just say Borough Council is a group and you send it out.
And it all
it'll
go.
pick.
Have some groups. I would say that, I'm not sure that the email system that we have is really adequate, to what we've got. It depends on what you consider the emails to be, because if they're public records, they're not secure. And, you know, anyone can delete an email anytime they want to. And, you know, I'm not sure whether in the long run, there might be a more secure way of doing this. Doing it through hover.com is certainly inexpensive because it comes free with our domain registration, but it's not the most sophisticated thing. I think were we talking about that earlier today, Dawn? Do you recall that somebody mentioned using some, I don't know if it was Microsoft or something like
I
that?
always refer them as CUG, just to be sure.
Yeah, so I was gonna talk to CUJ about that. As far as, other administration stuff, Donna Stillwell has started, looking into things and doing her review, and she's had some conversations, primarily,
I have a question about that too.
yeah,
We don't even have,
primarily, excuse me?
so I have a question about that.
Sure.
We don't even have our budget, you haven't even adopted a budget yet, and you hired Donna Stillwell.
Do you understand what her task is? I sent out an email, did you not get that one? Cause I can read it to you if you'd like me to.
That was supposed to be postponed.
Yeah, it was supposed to be postponed.
By whom?
Borough Council last week.
No, we
The
didn't postpone that.
president said it was going to be postponed until the, man was done with the audit.
Was there a vote on that?
I don't
I
know.
don't think there was a need
You
for a
don't want to
vote on
vote.
it. I was under the impression that Ms. Stillwell was gonna be waiting until the auditor who is currently performing the 2018 and 2019 DCED reports was provided all of the information. You know, however, you know, that is a work in progress. I understand your desire to get her started sooner rather than later. And I think we met with Donna this morning, and I think she understands the concept of that two people can't be in the same box at the same time looking at documentation.
I wouldn't say that was the case. I was there also.
Well, we asked Ms. Stillwell to come back at next Monday's meeting to give a presentation in front of council and, you know, in a public session, correct? And I think Ms. Stillwell had asked our borough manager for two things. The copy of all the 2019 bank statements, as well as access to QuickBooks. Is there anything else that she had requested?
Yes.
No, I had forwarded that email to Joe Pisani, Mark Pisani, and Mike
Well, there's a
Pisani.
whole list of things that she requested by the 30th of January that you didn't receive. Now, Dawn and Ms. Stillwell are the ones that set up February 3rd as the date to start this process. And when we came in today, the only person here was Mr. Mike Pezenti and Tina.
And my phone call, excuse me for 1 second, no disrespect, my phone call was Bill Stewart that
No.
morning, and he told me, like he told my brothers last week, that this was going to get pushed off.
Yeah, I know,
So
I know,
sometimes, you
I know you
stuff with
told
the auditor
us
has
that.
all the information.
But we engaged this person to come in here and do this review.
No, you engaged the person.
We voted on it.
No, we voted on this
He
council.
does what he
It was
wants.
part of the reorganization. position.
He does whatever he wants.
Bill, is she gonna charge us for coming in?
Yeah, it's a price not to exceed $6,000. It's an action that we
No,
took
I
for the
mean for her
organization.
coming in.
She's gonna charge us for coming in today
That's what I thought.
because that's what, she and Dawn had set up, and we had all exchanged emails.
Well, Bill's president accountant.
Okay,
So
so you
what's
guys
that
all
got to do?
voted on that prior
Bill-
to
Bill,
reorganization?
let's get something straight. The
Bill's one-
president-
Bill's
No,
one
you did
vote.
get something
Bill
straight.
is one vote. Bill has certain powers as president of council. He doesn't have the power to, negate a vote of council by telling someone that we've engaged to come in and do a task and not show up.
Well, I think what you need to learn, Mr. Wilson, is it's not up to you, you should go through your council president, no matter who it is,
Right.
We already had a vote on this.
Mr. Stewart.
do
Can
whatever
We
you
voted
you
on this
explain to
to do
him
this.
the chain of command,
I'm ready.
I believe that it would be in our best interest to have Ms. Stillwell come in at next Monday's meeting. Give a presentation
Thank you.
in front of council, let council know what she's going to be looking for. In the interim, I believe Dawn is gonna be pulling the 2019 bank records, and we'll work with the Vicentes to get access to the.
The 2000 bank records are already pulled as far as I'm concerned. I was in here with Mr. Hanna today and he told me what's holding up the 2018 records is a list of things that he sent to Dawn. Including the 2018 general fund, general ledger, that she doesn't, the auditors do not have that. The auditors are waiting for the reconciliation detail for beneficial bank accounts, street maintenance account, and sewer fund account. The auditors are waiting for an analysis of transfer activity for the general fund. The auditors are waiting for 2018 affidavit of the tax collector. The auditors are waiting for the 2018 tax collector delinquency report. The auditors are waiting for the 2018 budget versus actual explanation of variances. The auditors are waiting for the 2018 current versus prior year explanation of variances, and they also need the real estate tax current levy. They're asking for transaction detail reports for these items, the local services tax, and the earned income tax. Please advise that I may need additional reports besides the ones listed above to complete, and he puts complete in capital letters, the 2018 audit.
you have all the information.
So what happens when municipal audits get done, as they progress through an audit, questions arise, so they do ask for additional information. As far as the tax collector information, Mr. Cochran needs to get that information to the auditor. The budget versus actual variances that are requested, and we have an email from Drew that we just got today asking for that information. The sewer, street maintenance and sewer, he's had, it's probably sitting in the back, he's had that for a while. So some items he has additionally asked for over and over again that he has had in his hands. He has that in his possession,
So you're saying the problem is, Mingus and Gutowski?
I didn't say that was the problem at all. All I said was he
What
had
they're-
information in
what
his
they're
hands,
telling
so.
us is that they don't have the
Now,
records
Now,
to
the
do
problem
audit.
is, you're putting words in my mouth of what I didn't say.
Yeah.
I said that the information that he's requested a few times, they have had in their possession. I didn't say that was an issue with Mingus and Gutowski, you
Well,
said
that's
that.
fine. Well,
So-
I'll tell you what they are saying. They're saying that they don't have complete records to do the 2018 audit.
You have enough
And
meetings with
Mr.
them, so
Wilson,
you
before
probably
we
know.
get, it's,
I didn't bring this up.
Mark, and I just wanna make sure that I understand the discussions that you and I have had with, both yourself and Joe, is
Sure.
just that, the 2018 and 2019 audits, you believe are going to be complete before the end of February, correct?
Yeah.
Well, that's not what we're being told.
But
That's not what the auditors believe.
Drew
I'm-
and John had told me that, exact words. The information was still on hand.
John Hanna told you that he was,
John Hanna and-
that you were gonna be done by the end of February?
That's exact words.
So from a review standpoint, and I'm just gonna kind of realistically say, it's probably gonna take Mingus Gutowski a week or two to write the findings letter and to submit the report by the DCED. So would you be comfortable if we go on the record and say that by the middle part of March,
Why are
you would be,
stalling
you would be,
this?
I'm not
Why
stalling.
are we stalling this?
Last week
This is a snapshot of what's going on now, and what she is doing is trying to write up, will you stop?
No, you interrupted.
Will
Go ahead,
the
Bill.
DCED report be filed by the middle part of March?
Let me,
Which is a filing that's outside your control.
Right.
What you control is the completion of the audit at the end of the month.
By the time Mingus Kantowski getting all their information and getting all their field work done and getting out of the borough and doing everything they have to do to finish up and getting the DCTS.
when is the 2019 audit due?
April 1st.
April 1st. Then why are we, it sounds to me as if we're talking about stopping the review in order to, go out until the middle of March. Now, that's not what we had promised the voters as far as I'm concerned.
What's 2 weeks, Glenn? Middle of
It's
March,
not
what's
2
2 weeks?
It's not 2 weeks, she's here now. She was told to be here, she's here now. We're already paying for her, we paid for her today when part of what we did today was waiting for people to show up.
Everybody was under the opinion that I was supposed to push back.
Well, somebody should have told,
Told you
somebody.
that before you set it up?
You were here last
Obviously,
week,
Dawn didn't know that.
Weren't you here last meeting?
I was here last meeting. Did you not get the emails that we sent out?
No, I did not get no email.
Well, that's too bad.
Oh,
You must not be, checking your email.
I check my email
Mr.
all the
Wilson,
time.
we have other things to discuss besides
Maybe you
the
should
audit.
learn,
Well,
maybe
we
you
do
should
have
find
other
out what
things
my
to
email
discuss.
is. 'Cause you
Yeah,
don't
we
have
do
a
have
clue.
other things to discuss.
You don't have a clue.
One thing I would like to know, and Mike, you just set me straight on this. Did you or did you not tell me today that you do not have access to the Quicken book? the
I
QuickBooks
don't have
program?
access to it.
You don't have access to the QuickBooks program. How do you do accounts receivable and
We have
accounts
3
payable?
people and we're a team, we do different things.
You told me
We're
today
3
that only
people. I'm
Joe
not
had
paid by
access to
Eddystone.
that.
We're paid, what Joe does, and so does Mark,
Yeah, well, you told us today that only Joe had access to that.
and Mark does that.
No, Mark does too. And when you're doing your accounts receivable and accounts payable, as an added employee here, are you gonna be using the QuickBooks program or not? Because
What?
Joe Pacenti was here the other day saying that Dawn needed help
We're a
on the
3 people
QuickBooks
team,
program.
so me, Joe, and Mark have different things that we do for the borough.
For
Does that make sense?
$70,000, and we could get all those things done for $40,000.
By someone who doesn't have.
But you don't have
Right.
We're also,
Right?
No,
Yeah,
No.
yeah.
by,
No offense,
we can
Dawn.
have a certified public accountant.
Francie Howard do it, let's just get moving on.
Yep, Francie Hale.
For $30,000 less than what you guys are charging us. And that's the fact. And the fact is
It's not
also that
$30,000
there's
less
no
than you're
way,
paying the borough manager.
there's no way that you're gonna get these things done. You've been telling us for years that we're gonna have these done.
Mr. Wilson, if we can move forward,
Yes.
you know, it's,
Well,
I
I'm not
think
sure what
the-
we're doing. Are we putting an end to the financial review? Are we
no, we're
stopping
not
the
putting an end,
financial
no, we're not
review?
putting an end to the financial
The
review.
financial
However,
review has started. Are we stopping it?
she's going to appear in front of council at the next meeting. And she's gonna tell us what she's gonna be doing.
And what in the meantime has she got?
Nothing.
Nothing? So we're stopping her.
Yeah, because there's no sense in having her continue with information if she doesn't have the information she
I don't know
needs.
what you're all hiding. I don't know what you're all hiding. Somebody's hiding something
What
here.
are you accusing people of, Glenn?
I'm asking
What are you-
what's
what are you accusing
being
people
hidden
of? Come on,
here.
say it, Glenn.
Okay, well, here's one. How come we're
Let's
hiding,
get it on tape, come
how
on.
come we're hiding a lawsuit payment as a office expense? How come Francie Howard,
It's not a lawsuit payment.
Francie Howard got a $70,000 settlement,
It's not-
correct?
it's not a
That was
lawsuit.
how many years ago?
Yes, and how, are we still paying $17,000 a
Wasn't
year?
that part of her thing? Was she sued?
Is that an office expense or is it a hidden expense? $1,300 a month going out, that woman is
It's
not an employee
It's not a
here.
hidden expense,
It's a hidden expense. It's put under general office administration, that is a lawsuit that was settled years ago.
it's not a lawsuit.
It's not a loss, are you telling me that she's still an employee?
No, she's not an employee, but the borough made a settlement with her years ago when we separated the employment as part of the settlement. We're picking up part of the Medicare payment that she had, which was an agreement that we made years ago,
$1,300 a
and
month.
it's been that way for years.
And that was not a lawsuit, it was just a settlement?
Correct.
She never filed suit against the borough but out of the goodness of your heart, you decide to give her $1,300 for the rest of her life.
Files, she forever filed against the
Oh.
borough prior to the,
Oh, so she
to it
did
becoming a
file.
court, before it became a court document, the borough settled the agreement.
Why is it?
But it's not hidden because it's the 1,300 is wide open. If Donna
It's not
Stillwell
wide open.
comes in and
It's
says,
not
if
wide.
Donna
Got any
Stillwell
popcorn?
comes in and says,
We can
code
take
this
these?
differently, we will code it differently,
She
but
has
until.
already said that, that's a liability, it's not an expense.
Okay, but it's 1,300, regardless of whether you call it apple or tomato, it's $1,300. It's not hidden, we
It's
pay it every month.
it's
You see it in the
17,000.
cash receipts and disbursements.
When I look at the budget, do I see what that money's going for? When the budget presentation was made and there's a line there, I've been wondering for years why Tina's, benefits were so expensive. And now we find out because it's not just Tina's benefits, it's Tina's benefits and it's also Francie Howard's benefits. $17,000 a year. Now, that should be listed as some kind of a liability. It is not an operating expense that we're spending.
And
in
when
this
Donna
office.
Stillwell comes in and Donna Stillwell gives us a written report,
Well, Donna
and
Stillwell
says this is the
will
way
never
that it
get
should
in
be
here
coded,
if we
then
keep
we should
going
code
like
it.
this. You guys are stalling. You're all stalling. She's in here to write procedures. Today we had a problem. Today
What's this,
Red
the borough
board.
according to Glenn?
Today the rec board wanted to know, when are we gonna do the repairs in Lighthouse Hall? Okay, I get an email from Dawn. Dawn says they can't start until they get $10,500 from us.
Okay,
And I
Okay.
said, we've already had a vote of council to go with that contract. Why can't we just, why do I need to approve something? It's
You
been
gotta
approved
approve it.
through a vote of contract. So the point is that there is no established procedure for her to get a check written for that amount of money.
the
Yes,
procedure,
there
the
is.
procedure is a cash receipt, the check will be cut, it'll show up in the cash receipts and disbursements journal.
When it,
Council will take action next Monday night
did you
to
get the
approve the
check?
cash receipts and disbursements journal, and the check would be given to Coolett, and Coolett will start
So
the
you're
work.
gonna, we've already approved the expenditure. Have you gotten a check written for that yet?
I have not received any.
The resolution
How would
has
you,
to be
how
signed.
would you do that? What's your process for getting a check for $10,000 cut?
I would wait for Joe Pisani to
You would wait for
advise.
Joe to come in, is he gonna be coming in?
I've not heard
Cause they're
from him.
ready to go over there,
I have not heard from him as of yet, but I did talk with Bullet today.
yeah. And we also discovered today that there are $9,000 in outstanding bills that have not been paid to Cool It, and they were asking us, where's that $9,000? I can tell you, half of that, about $7,000 of it was for Lighthouse Hall, and the rest was for the firehouse. These are bills that go back through September. Why have these not been paid?
There's no money in the account to pay them.
There was no money in the account, we were broke?
Yes,
Okay, we were broke.
yes, you have a budget that says we're carrying X amount of dollars of unpaid obligations from 2019 into 2020.
Okay, so we have unmet bills from 2019 because our bank account has no money in it. That's what you're telling me.
It would've,
It would've what?
if we paid all those bills.
If we paid all those bills, we'd have less money, not more money.
You have to meet payroll. You
have to
gotta,
meet
you gotta
payroll.
pay, the employee healthcare.
So when you put out a quote to Cool It, and Cool It comes and gives us a quote, how are you gonna get people to come and do business with us if we don't have the money to pay the bills that we already owe them?
That's why we have Donna Stillwell coming in and taking a look at
That's
the
why
controls.
we need Donna Stillwell to come in
Well,
here.
we're not having a debate over whether or not
Listen,
we
Bill,
need Donna Stillwell. We're
First it
having-
was a month, then it was a quarter, and then it was 6 months that you wanted to put this on. What we're talking about here is adding another employee to the office for $30,000 on top of the new person we've added. He took everything from the budget that was passed in 2019, threw in all the new things without making any cuts or any changes to the budget. And then we went through and said that we were gonna sell this house for $60,000.
We did make cuts and changes. We made cuts and changes.
Have you sold this
last
house for
two Mondays
$60,000?
ago and last Monday, which is the reason why we had budget hearing number one.
Did you
Budget
say that
hearing
you were
number
gonna
two.
get,
You read
did you
your
cut
idea, Bill?
$3,600 from the, $3,600 from the rec program? Yes or no?
No,
Yes, you did. You cut $3,600 from the rec program and you said that you were gonna get a grant for that.
I
You're
think
gonna
it was,
get the
I think it
grant
was
from
what,
where?
6,000 or 8,000?
8,000.
Eight
Eight
thousand.
thousand.
8,000?
8,000,
Where are you gonna get that from?
exactly,
Where are you gonna get the $8,000 for the rec program?
exactly.
You think that the Children's Youth Fund, the Eddystone Youth Fund is gonna write you a check for $8,000, and that would be a large percentage of
You
what
wanna
they
hear
have
yourself
in
talk?
their fund. This is crazy.
There's money available
Where?
from the Eddystone Youth Fund.
No, there is
When the
not.
when the refrigerator was broken, okay, when the refrigerator was broken in the kitchen,
Did you contact the Eddystone Youth
no,
Fund?
they contacted me, and they
Yeah.
said, if you guys need help getting the refrigerator fixed,
Right.
all you need to do is to send us a request, and we can approve it,
Did
and
you-
give you the money for the refrigerator.
Did you ask her if she's gonna make up that money you put in the budget?
No, it was before we
No,
got the
of course
budget.
not, because she's never heard this. Because I've spoken to her. Okay? Now, you're counting on money coming from the Eddystone Youth Fund. You're putting it in the budget when that money does not exist as of now. You're taking money for selling this house over here. This house could take you a year to sell because when you sell a piece of property that belongs to the borough, it's not like selling your own private house. It gets complicated. You have to get all kinds of bids and do everything else.
Yep.
Now, whether that house is worth $60,000, I don't know. It's a double lot, but we were told that it was gonna cost $30,000 to bring that house up to a habitable
Who told you
condition.
that?
That was something that was discussed in council one day.
With who?
With who?
Yeah, with who?
In a secret meeting.
You and who else?
Well, all I'm saying is, what's the other thing?
dropped my bid to 30.
The EMT situation. We're counting on $60,000 in shared insurance expenses, income from the EMTs.
Mr. Musso,
We have
I don't
no,
know what point in time this conversation is gonna go towards any
we
type
have
of
no written agreement
litigation
with the
or
EMTs.
some type of, an
We have
agreement that
no
we've been
agreement,
discussing
we
in
have
private with the
no agreement
EMTs.
before it fell through. That's
Sure.
$130,000 that is pie out of the sky.
So we shouldn't talk about any litigation or.
I'm not talking about litigation. I'm not talking about litigation.
Those are the things we shouldn't talk about.
I'm talking about what was in the budget in open session. We said we had $70,000 from the fire department. We
Yes.
do not have $70,000.
We have a $70,000 check that they're willing to put into an escrow
If
account.
you sign an agreement with them.
Yeah, and if
And
we
you
don't
have not
sign,
come
if
to
we don't
terms
sign
with
the
it.
agreement, then we remove whatever monies that's in the budget for the EMTs, which I believe was in the neighborhood of $160,000.
Yeah, and that makes the budget look good, but then it means we have no ambulance coverage in our town.
But that's not the intent. The intent is to put the ambulance to work. So if you put the ambulance to work, then you're gonna get revenue back from the insurance.
You're making up money. It's not, until you have an agreement with them. They came here with a check that was signed.
Yes.
If you came to an agreement with them, they would have given
No,
you
they
that
came with an
check.
envelope.
They came with a check because
Because you saw it?
Mr. Walsh said he signed it.
And Mr. Amuso told
Wasn't
you
much.
earlier in the meeting that, we should have the escrow agreement wrapped up here within the next.
You don't have the agreement locked. You still wanna put them under control of the police department. Don't you?
These are all things that need to be, these are all things that need to be
They have
discussed
said
with the EMT.
categorically that they will not report to the police department.
If they're borough employees, they'll report to where we tell them that they were reported
Chief
to.
of police is not in charge of that, and he will
I
not
know.
be in charge of
Well,
it.
he's talking
I'm in
about putting
charge of
Mr.
the police.
McNamee in charge of supervising the EMTs.
No, he's not either.
This is what he's talking about.
No, he's not
He
either.
said that repeatedly.
If I had my choice, unfortunately, I got 1 of 7 votes. So if I had my choice, they'd be reporting to the police department, but I'm 1 of 7.
Please have enough to do.
Please have enough.
Time of the day doing it.
All right.
I don't know. I still don't think it's a good idea to cut the rec program.
Mr. Wilson, anything else from the committee standpoint?
Only that I know that the company that we approved to do this work is ready to come in tomorrow and start taking the old unit out of Lighthouse Hall, but they will not put the new unit in until they are paid their 50%.
Okay.
Does the resolution have to be signed first?
I don't believe there is a resolution.
You voted on a resolution last week.
I believe what we voted on was the solicitor was going to write an opinion letter stating that it was an emergency.
I was
He's
gonna get
waiting
it.
for me.
Okay, so that's,
I will tell you that it is very, very rare in the 36 years that I have been doing this job that I have had a contractor tell us that they needed a payment before they would start emergency work.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Very, very,
Yeah, switch on to somebody
very
else.
rare.
Go to somebody else.
I'm just
Yeah.
saying that, and I reported that to Dawn earlier when she sent an email over to me. It's not typical.
yeah, I don't recall if that was even in the agreement. Did you see the
No, I
agreement?
called and I questioned, and she
Yeah.
said, that's their normal, way of doing things, they take half before the job, just because.
Well, that's not in the agreement. On the other hand, you know, go ahead and borrow, as you suggested, might be better because we don't know that $9,000.
They,
We could run up a bill with them, and then we won't have to pay off Cool It.
typically, they waive that portion, that requirement, because it is a municipality.
It's a standard in every proposal. If I was to have a heater replaced in my house, they want 50% upfront.
Okay, then if it's in there, that's the deal that we made.
I know.
That's what we voted to accept, if that's what's in this proposal.
Mr. Wilson, anything else moving forward?
No, sir.
Did you read the deal before you agree to it? You should know whether it's in there or not.
We all read the deal. A borough engineer read the deal. We all
Was it
voted
in
on
there
it.
or not?
I don't know, you're pretty much detached from everything. All you all.
Counselors,
all you have
anybody
is-
else have any committee reports?
Oh,
they
yeah,
wanna say?
I'm allowed to
Lately,
ask
a
you a
baloney
question.
from you.
I'm allowed to ask you a question.
No other committee reports. Ms.
You can't
Catania,
answer your own
Ms.
question.
Catania, we asked you to appear in front of council this evening to describe what a DCNR grant is, so that council is able to make a decision of whether or not we wanna take action at next meeting to pass a resolution giving you permission to submit a DCNR grant on our behalf.
Well, starting January, the grant opportunity is open. We have had several issues with the Lighthouse Hall. And one of the things that I believe could help, that has no match to it, is what is called a Small Communities Grant through the, Department of Conservation and Natural Resources, DCNR. We use a lot of acronyms in our world. This grant is for the first $20,000 of the project, has no match to it. It's called a Small Communities Grant. In order for us to do any improvements or any project, we have to have a pre-application meeting with the Southeast Region consultant who works for DCNR. She's over at Road Street. And you also have to have been a participant in the workshop. Obviously, I went to the workshop. We have that, not obviously, I will tell you that I attended that workshop, and so we are able to at least try for this grant. I will tell you as well that because it's small communities grant, very few small communities try to get this grant, so we have a very good opportunity.
What is this for?
For the lighthouse, probably, because it's for recreation, I would suggest that we look at upgrading the gymnasium area. From what I understand, the floor is in pretty bad shape. Whatever else we could do in there.
Could you rehab the kitchen in
Talk
there?
to Jean.
Could you rehab the kitchen in there?
I don't know, and we talked about, we have not replaced that air conditioning unit either. We're replacing the furnace, so we'll have heat, but we won't have air conditioning. Whether or not, that's one of the reasons they have the
I
pre-application.
thought that was still functional.
It's still functional, but it's still 20 years old.
It's on its last
So
legs.
in August, when it's gonna be 90 degrees and 90% humidity, we don't wanna have the situation where we're closing the gymnasium again, because unfortunately, we're not able
Well,
to.
every scenario we looked at included leaving that air handler in there.
That's correct.
Okay.
Lisa, when we did the study down there with your associate, about the doors, the exit signs are busted, all the doors are broken.
We talked about that as
Right.
well. The issue is at this point, I don't know, first of all, it's only up to $60,000.
Right.
So we could go for a regular grant, but that regular grant has 50% match to it. So if we can at least get a portion of the work done, even if it's, say you do 30,000, which means you're putting $5,000 into a $30,000. I think that's more doable. I say that, I understand your budget constraints, I get it. But even if we did a $20,000 job, and you get something done down there. So if it's doors, because we need to worry about that.
Right.
I don't know whether or not, it would be considered eligible just to do doors though. So,
Is it eligible for the fields too? Like, they want to get the fields done, because we do have a lot of, we get a lot of inquiries, and we did have a couple teams that were using the fields for softball.
you could do the fields, but up to $20,000, whatever, it has to be a recreation and open space project. So, it's worth calling Jean and saying, hey, can you meet me over? You tell me what projects that you're looking at, and I'll go through them with her. I've already done one of our municipalities with her, and she's gleeful because it's an open space project that she.
Wow.
So, it's, DCNR is very, very willing to, Jean and Drew are really willing to put forth these projects, and there are advocates with the DCNR group.
So this is a DCNR Small Communities
So
grant.
small communities grant.
First 20,000.
First
From $0 to
20,000 has no
20,000,
match.
there's no match.
Correct.
You can go up to 60,000, however, anything between 20 and 60, you have a 50 or a
So-
50% match.
So if you go up to a $60,000 project, we're putting $20,000 into it.
So there's no 50% match over the 20,000.
Correct.
Over the 20.
You just get that
Correct.
free.
You get, it's one of the few grants that you have no match.
Yeah.
If
so
you stay under 20.
if you stay under the 20,000.
Well, I'm glad you're looking out for our future here.
She always did.
She always has.
She always did.
Always has. Always
Lisa's
has.
always
Trying.
done a
Her
great
was
job
her
for us.
father.
She's doing a great job, Lisa.
Thank you.
So
Always have.
council, is there any questions of Ms. Catania regarding the DCNR Small Communities grants?
I don't have a question about that. I'm just, as Dawn, comes up to speed, full speed, I know she's up to speed, but when she's up to full speed like a freight train.
What's that?
What I'm asking about is, the different grant applications that we do. Can these be coordinated through Dawn, even if they're being done, just at least so she knows what's going on?
Dawn
Yeah.
has worked with us in another municipality, and everything that we do is coordinated through a manager. It's typically not through council.
Because I know that the grant for this whole project with this building, was not renewed annually as it should have been, and so we fell back in the line there from what I heard. Maybe that's not true.
That's not true, is it, Ed?
Kind of, but really not. I mean,
Kind of, but really
we
not.
maintain we retained our budget line item for our
Okay.
forward deal, which is the major stack.
So did we recently apply for a DCED grant? Anyone apply for a DCED grant?
We haven't applied for one of them for years, have we? Didn't we check on that, Lisa, a while ago?
Anybody apply for a DCED grant for a police vehicle? Nobody did, okay.
So if there
Mr.
is
Mr. Wilson.
something other than the, Lighthouse Hall that you want to take a look at, we'll certainly do that.
Backpedal.
That needs to be though, I need to know very, very, very shortly, because Jean's calendar is filling up.
Okay.
So if we can't get her or Drew out here beforehand, we can't submit the application.
And you need a resolution for the application.
I will need a resolution for that, and I will need a resolution for TCDI next week we'll have the resolution for liquid fuels allocation as well.
I'm all in favor of improving the community. On the other hand, we were just told that we can't pay our bills, that we don't have the $9,000 to pay the money that we've already spent. You know, I love talking about building new buildings and adding things to the community, but if we can't pay our bills, if we can't pay our heating and cooling company for coming and fixing the heating system in Lighthouse Hall, where are we finding the match money?
$2,000 for the budget.
I don't wanna be,
$20,000.
I'm just
You should
asking,
be spending that $6,000, you're spending it with them.
the $6,000 is going to your daughter?
Mr.
Oh,
Ms. Catania, can you kind of briefly go over?
Going to your daughter?
How about the
Mr.
$200,000 you added to our budget?
Mr. Wilson, can you briefly go over the TCDI grant as well, just so that everybody has an understanding of the TCDI grant process?
The TCDI is a Transportation Community Development Initiative grant. It is a grant solely for planning purposes. So what we are looking at is putting the grant application in to do an economic development throughout the corridor of 291.
And the cost to submit the grant is?
Yeah.
Okay, but then if you do receive the grant, you have to look at what type of match money?
It's a 50% match.
50%. But no cost to submit?
No.
Okay.
Whatever, well, that's not true. You have some cost,
Your cost to prepare?
right, the preparation. Just so everyone's on the same page.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any public forum?
I have a question.
Would you like to come up and put your name on the board?
If you want me to, I can.
Please.
Or just stand at the podium and give your name and address.
Who's running this meeting?
Oh, Bolton,
Okay.
914 Chisholm Avenue. I got a couple questions on the budget. The public safety, the code enforcement, the $88,400.
Wow.
Are we paying their gas?
No.
Why do we have vehicle fuel and gasoline underneath
It's
them?
some question for Mr. Vicente that he would have to remove that line item out since the $85 an hour is all inclusive. It includes
Okay, just-
manpower, labor, fuel, mileage, everything.
What about their material and supplies?
That's, everything's included.
Well, then that's $5,500 more.
Well, then Mr.
Can I
Vicente
just say
can
that
carve
some
that
of
out of the
these-
budget.
Some of these things that are in the budget, some of these things that are in the budget should have been taken out of the budget. If you're changing the budget, you need to look at every single line. You don't,
Take control.
It's not broken out that far, I mean, it's.
no, I know it's not broken out that far, that's why we can't.
Are you going off,
can't tell what
Mr.
we're
Bolton, are you
spending.
going off the old budget or are you going off the
I'm
new
going
budget?
out off the one that just, the
So-
preliminary
so
one you
it's
guys
the
just, you
amend-
just
it's the
passed.
amended budget effect.
Yep, you
So
just
that
passed it.
is money that Mr. Vicente could have removed from the budget.
Okay,
He was gonna
here's another
present an
question.
accurate picture.
Here's another question for you. You know, you voted to replace the tax collector.
We did not vote to replace the tax collector.
Well, you voted absent, so if you're gonna replace him, okay? You know that the borough pays a bond for the tax collector,
Correct.
$700. That means it's in his name, which means if you're gonna name somebody else, it's another $700 that
Okay.
the borough has to pay, which we don't have no money.
We will
so-
take that under advisement when we get ready to reappoint a tax collector.
Okay, just so you're aware of that, that's all.
Okay.
I'm good, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next Monday, council will be prepared to take action on the treasurer's report, cash receipts and disbursements journal, the report for the code enforcement from December 2020, as well as the report for code enforcement for January 2020, the police report from Chief Pacheski, the fire report from Chief Burke. I'm assuming the minutes will be prepared for review and approval, Mr. Vicente? And that would be for the regular meeting of January 13th, the two budget meetings, budget hearing number 1 on the 20th of January, budget hearing number 2 on the 27th of January. Mr. Wilson, you had asked that council takes an opportunity to review the resolution for adoption of rules of decorum for public meetings. You will circulate that to all members of council for review and comment. Mr. Amuso, prior to us taking action on that, at next Monday's meeting, we'll just ask you to review it for form.
Sir.
Does it say in there where you'll be in control of the meeting?
I haven't read them yet.
Well, it should be in there where you're in control of the meeting. Whoever the president is should be in control of the meeting.
So, Ms. Jones, that would be resolution 2020-02. The adoption of rules of decorum for public meetings.
So your report on resolution, what was the first resolution?
First resolution was for the tax and revenue anticipation notes.
Right, the family.
And that needs to be signed too, right?
It's already signed.
Sure did.
It was executed immediately following the meeting. Chief Macheski, I understand we have an appointment scheduled for a part-time police officer next Monday?
Yes, David.
So you'll coordinate all of the necessary arrangements to have the officer appear in front of the council for the appointment. Ms. Jones, if you can make sure that we have the oath of office prepared for the mayor to swear this individual in. We will also have to add to the agenda for action items the resolution 2020-03, which is going to be the resolution for the DCNR Small Communities Grant that Ms. Catania described earlier. We'll also need a resolution prepared for next Monday's meeting, 2020-04, which is going to be a resolution authorizing Catania Engineering to submit for the TCDI grant. And Ms. Catania, if you could just work with Ms. Jones during the course of the week, and we'll just make sure that these resolutions are prepared and reviewed by Peter.
They're templates. We also have the liquid fuels county aid resolution.
Council, if it is your pleasure.
I make a motion this meeting be adjourned.
Not quite yet.
Can I ask something real quick? Why did Mr. Wilson say about the rec being cut, about recreation being cut? And I've heard this rumor for the past few weeks. And when he just said that, I wanna know why he said that and where did that come from?
What we're looking at very quickly is when we're looking at the budget hearing, we're trying to cover a budget shortfall. So the recreation had a budget somewhere in the neighborhood of $26,000. I think we're $6,000 short in closing the budget for shortfall. So what we looked at was we were looking to turn to the folks at the Eddystone Youth Fund to see if there was grant opportunities available to get $6,000 into the borough for recreational activities.
Well, you have $8,000 you're taking off the budget right now.
Again, this is a budget. This isn't going to be the exact funding. As Mr. Bolton brought to our attention, there are certain line items that are in the code enforcement that certainly can be diverted, taken out of the code enforcement line items and moved right into recreation if necessary.
We had $6,000 come out of recreation, so Mr. Wilson could get the other people in here to do the audit.
What's the amount that was budgeted for the recreation program, was that or was that not reduced? I believe that the amount that was in the recreation budget was reduced and another number was put in as income that said recreation proceeds.
I'd have to see how Joe coded it.
That is the cut. We're assuming that we're gonna get that money back through a grant.
He reduced the line item in the expense for recreation donation, and then he added an expense as a contribution, like a contribution.
That's an
I forget
income.
I forget how it was worded.
He added income.
Into the revenue side.
Okay, 'cause
It is not the intent of this council to cut any programs when it comes to recreation for the
that's,
children.
yeah, cause honestly, I mean, that's why I'm here.
It's not the intent
That's it.
of this council
Recreation,
to
that's
cut any of the programs that we currently have for our children.
I mean, not that I don't care about the town.
But it's a
borough, or anything
possibility
else,
if you
but
don't
that
get the
is-
funding back from the youth foundation.
No, we just saved $8,000.
Thank you, Mr. Bolton.
But we gotta pay for the.
Council, if it is your pleasure, at next Monday's meeting, Do we wanna entertain the salary resolution for our non-uniformed employees?
Yes.
And also the salary resolution for our uniformed employees? Ms. Jones, I'll work with you during the week and we'll come up with the resolutions. We always do that by resolution, correct, Mark?
This is a resolution to,
Increase the
Increase the
salaries for
salaries.
what was discussed in the budget.
Mhm.
As everybody will recall, in January, the reorganization meeting, council took action to freeze all salaries with the intention of opening up the budget. We've reopened the budget, we had 2 budget meetings, we made the necessary changes to the budget to incorporate the changes for all the additional professional services that were added at the beginning of the year, and now we've closed the budget. So now that we've closed the budget, even though we're not going to take action on adopting the amended budget until the 12th of February, we always promised everybody that we would retroactively give them their pay raises back. So instead of getting too far into the year, we'll
Well, how
make
can
that
you
change.
do that at the budget if the final budget's not approved?
What's that? The same way as we pay payroll every week.
Is this,
We pay payroll every week.
I know that, but how can you?
We pick up trash every week. We pay.
What if somebody doesn't agree with the budget?
What,
And
if
it
somebody-
doesn't pass, and it doesn't pass?
Well, then I guess we go back to the old budget.
we still have the same raises in it.
Then nothing was changed on the raises then?
If we went back, like you just said, we went back to the old budget, what happens to all the people that you hired?
See ya.
To be determined.
What we'd be voting on is the amended budget and making amendments to the budget.
No, you're not either. You're making to adopt the amended budget if you vote.
You already
against
passed the
amended
preliminary budget.
Yeah, what I'm
Then you
saying,
go to the one that was already passed.
I think you're right, Karen.
I know I'm right, Glenn.
I think we agree for one.
Hey.
Hallelujah.
2 separate resolutions, right, Mr. Vicente? One for uniform, one for non-uniform. One resolution.
Yeah, you put everything in one resolution.
So Dawn, that would be resolution 2020-05 if I'm keeping things correct. Yes, Mr. Mayor.
What is the raise for the non-uniform?
I'd have to look at the budget. There's been so many numbers rolling around. I think
3%,
Joe and I've done
Right.
3%.
3%.
3%, except for the part-time, well, they're part-time police, never mind.
Part-time police went, what, from like 15 to 19?
No, I was talking about
No,
like
they went
Tina
from
and Kathy
18,
and
18, 17,
they're all getting 3%.
1830.
Non-uniform,
It's like
yes.
1835 to 20.
yeah, from 1835 to 20.
somewhere around there.
1835 is if they were here,
Think-
they they were starting at 17.
Any other actions that need to be taken in front of council next week? Liquid fuels. That is the resolution as well? 06?
Now, the part-time patrolmen are limited to 25 hours a week. Is that true or not? That's what I got from Mr. Vicente.
Usually part-time employees they usually don't do any more than 36. If there's an overtime shift, he gets offered to full-time employment first before we go out to part-time. That's by contract.
There was a question from the EMTs about holiday pay that was based on the part-time police. Do the part-time police get holiday pay?
Nope.
No?
No.
Okay, they don't get a differential if they come in for Christmas or something.
Yes.
I don't, the new contract I'm not all familiar with yet, so it may be.
I'm done, thanks.
Christmas and New Year's they had in the past.
Part-time.
Part-time. But usually part-timers don't work those days.
Right,
Yeah,
full-timers.
that was that way, Mr. Wilson, because if you could get a part-timer to come in at their rate was significantly cheaper than having a full-timer come in on a festive holiday.
Yeah. No,
That's
the only
the
reason I
difference.
asked was that this question about, well, we're done.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Before you make the motion to adjourn very quickly, is Ms. Jones, what I'll be doing from this point forward when it comes to the agenda, you know, this workshop meeting, is being exactly what I kind of envisioned this workshop meeting to be able to build the agenda for the following week. We'll incorporate the changes. If you could send out to all of council a draft copy of the agenda, sometime within the next few days. Council, take a look at the draft agenda, any questions, any comments, if we have to make any additions or changes. What I would like to do is to finalize the agenda before the close of business on Friday, so that when Ms. Jones will send an email out to everybody, says this is the final agenda for Monday's meeting. At this time, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
I did it twice, somebody else did it.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I have a motion to adjourn, Mr. Sprague, second by Mr. Yanuzzi, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, meeting adjourned.